my name's Kay. I'm here to talk about my OCs. Or OC. Mostly one, but there's still a couple others I can talk about, but mainly my OC, Red. Alright, so Red is my first consistent OC that I made when I was like 13. They originally were my persona. Crazy. When we're about to get in their lore, it's crazy that they were my persona, but it's whatever. 13-year-old will be 13-year-old, and apparently I was a crazy one. So, but their original idea was based on the song The Masochism Tango by Tom Lehrer. But now that's more of their boyfriend's type song. They were a masochist, sadist. They were all the freaky stuff into one person, and I was like, I'm just gonna project everything onto this character. If I feel sad, I'm making sad art. If I feel happy, I'm making happy art. It did not matter. But they were more of an event character when I first made them. I'm not gonna lie. I was crazy. I was going through it when I was 13. I mean, I'm going through it now, but it's a little bit better because I know how to handle it because I'm 17 years old. But it's still crazy to think about. But they just recently got lore as of, I think, 2024, late 2023, early 2024. And I've been working on it ever since, and I recently just rewrote it. So I'm gonna info dump about them and their family, and then yeah. So okay. So Red is a intersex AMAB non-binary person. So basically they were assigned to male at birth, and they went their dead name, which is still, they don't consider it their dead name. It's not the name that they use often, but their family uses it as a nickname, because the name Red is a nickname they got because of their hair when they colored it. But their nickname from their older sister and their family is Red Rudy. So Red Robin, but Rudy. But they intersex people are people who are born with the reproductive system or a part of the reproductive system of the opposite gender. So they were born with a uterus, they got periods and stuff while being a male. So to further their identity, they decided to get breast implants to lean into the femininity, and then they figured out their identity was non-binary. So yeah. So trigger warning for their story, there's mentions of, technically speaking, grooming, RAPE, death, suicide, drug use. Just, it's a whole bunch of stuff. Just a trigger warning. If that bothers you, I will put a timestamp somewhere on the screen that you can skip to. Proceed with caution. And if you need to take a break, because I'm not forcing you to listen to my OC lore. If you want to, you can, okay? So Red was born when Francine was 4. Francine is the older sister. The De La Rue family lived in France until Orion, the dad, got a new job opportunity. The family moved to Canada so that Orion could work at this new job. Celeste, the younger sister, who is a trans woman, was born a few years later. The house was not big enough for a family of 5, it appears. So all the kids had to share the master bedroom, and the parents slept in the regular room. There was one full bathroom and then a half bath in near the kitchen. Red found their mom dead when they were 10 years old. They woke up and went to brush their teeth. They brushed their teeth in the half bath, and then showering and all that stuff is done in the full bathroom, because half baths are sink, toilet. To then accidentally trip over their mom's body. She had offed herself the night before. The cause of death, an overdose. So that's when Red's life becomes a little bit different than when originally it was. But Red's mom being dead was the peak point for their lore development whenever I first made them. So their mom being dead, everyone knew about it, but I recently added on more to the story, and then their trauma and how they meet people and stuff, because to make a good character, you have to develop their world. As someone who mainly focuses on Red, I still want to develop more of the characters on the sides. So if you have any ideas or anything or feedback or headcanons, just comment or DM me on Instagram. I'll put my Instagram up at the end or whatever. So yeah. 3 years later, Orion, Red's dad, marries another woman. Mary. Red never really liked Mary. She was always overly kind, not in a I'm your stepmom way. It was more in a I got you these things, so now you like me, right? It was more of like a transactional type of kindness. Like if I'm kind to you, you're gonna give me what I want, right? Kind of like a bully. Um, she would always be really touchy with Red. They wouldn't say anything because their dad was happy, but something was off. They didn't think she had any bad intentions with the touchiness. They just missed having a mom, so they dealt with it. When they turned 15, something changed in the way she was touchy, and it began to get more in the inappropriate touching territory. Instead of hugs and messing with their hair, she would rub their thighs and shoulders, and it kept getting worse. Most of the things she would do are now since blocked of their memory, but they can still feel her touch sometimes. It disgusts them. So that was the big point, because Red, their occupation is a midnight ballerina. They're a stripper. And they're a part-time bartender. I wanted because originally they were like, I defined them as hypersexual, like hypersexuality, because I've met people who have dealt with that, and I really want to expand an OC with that kind of stuff. So I know that it's not always a trauma response, but it mostly can be. And I wanted to explore that with Red. I wanted to explore as much as I could fit into one OC, so then I can figure out how they would live with all the issues that they had. And if anything sounds incorrect or false, or like if you think I should change something, please let me know. I'm open to suggestions, criticism, and all that jazz, because I want to get better as a writer and an artist and an OC creator. Yeah. And I really like writing, so yeah. A few months before Red turns 16, Mary rapes Red while Red's siblings and dad are in the living room watching TV. This goes on until they turn 17. The day after Red's birthday party, Francine notices that Red has a bruise on their neck. So the bruise is not like where Mary hit them. It was more of like a choking bruise. So it looked like a hand. That's why it was concerning. Because like sometimes, Red's 17, hickeys are a thing. But no, it wasn't a hickey. Francine tells her dad. Orion goes into the kids' room and asks Red to lift up their shirt. Red can't. Their dad asks Red why they have a big bruise on their neck. Red starts to freeze. Orion tells Francine to leave the room and close the door. After she leaves, Orion holds Red until their body is able to relax. Red tells their dad what happened. Orion holds Red tighter, and he tells Red it's not their fault. He tucks them into bed and goes to the kitchen to make a call. So I wanted Orion is like the sweetest man ever. One of my mutuals, Eden Sunday, I'll add their tag or whatever in one parts of this. But I was on call with them while editing their lore, making their toy house. Shout out to Eden Sunday for the amazing art of Red and their family. I love you. I love you, Boogie. I love you, Boogie. They also gave me the inspiration to make this video. Yeah, they told me I would sound like a really good YouTuber, so I decided I wanted to get back into making videos. So here we are. Yay! But so they described Orion as like this teddy bear and this like rock character. He's a really big family man. I'll get into more of his lore. Not really, and there's not that much lore, but some of his details later. But Orion has been like the character that I want to make everyone love, because he is truly lovable. He is the character I'm going to be exploring how autism and anxiety go in hand with each other, because he is autistic, and he's high functioning autistic, obviously. Well, not obviously, but he, by the way. And he has an anxiety disorder. I don't know which one yet, but he does require to have like an emotional support animal of some sort and like a medicine that helps him. But I wanted to explore autism in a character, and I thought, what better way to make him a geek? I think would be the right terminology. Geek, nerd, one of those two, both. Why not? Because one of his special interests is like games. Because he's a coder. He is a coder and a game creator and all that jazz. He is a computer nerd. Okay. So Orion makes a call telling Mary to get something from the grocery store. She goes to the store. He then calls the police to report Mary. When Mary arrives back at home, she sees Orion holding Red's hand, talking to the police. She drops the grocery bag and her purse. The police arrest her. Mary is charged for rape, endangerment of a minor, child endangerment, and possession of CP on her work laptop. Let that sink in. Some of the children in the material being her own students. She worked in the 8th grade. She worked with 8th graders, my bad. The family ends up moving to New York to get away from the country Mary was in as a safety precaution. The idea was given to them by family friends. So they moved from so originally they were in France, and then they move whenever Celeste is born, 2 years after Red's born. And no, 4 years after Red's born. And then they move. So they move to Canada, and then they move to New York, and that's where they've been since. Red, excuse me, email. I don't care, Michaels. Red ends up becoming hypersexual as a trauma response. In high school, they ended up being known as the school slut. Okay, I needed a reason for them to. I don't want to. Okay, so you'll understand later on, but I needed a reason for them to be in a room with someone with no strings attached later on at this party thing that's going to go down. If that makes sense. And don't get me wrong, sleep with whoever you want. Love is love. Yes, king. Get that bag. Okay. But I needed some form of like bad, I don't want to, like, some form of like where rumors could spread about Red being an awful person, but in reality, they're just trying to seek touch. They're touch starved, like in a loving way, because their dad's not really touchy. Neither are their siblings. Their siblings are more like, except for Celeste. Celeste is touchy. But they're craving the love that they wanted so many years ago. And I want them to be like trying to find that thing, but then failing until they meet their boyfriend. So just keep in mind, them being a slut has nothing to do with hypersexuality. It's not a stereotype I'm trying to do. It's just how I'm trying to develop their character. Okay? Okay? Okay. They slept with anyone, whether it was for fun, for pot, or for alcohol. Didn't matter the gender. The slut era of their high school years ends abruptly after they meet Oliver Smith. Your future boyfriend. Oh, I love them so much. You don't understand. Ow. Sorry, I literally just muted it on accident. I'm so sorry. Okay. Anyways, moving on. They never really noticed this kid before. He was always in the back corner of the classroom with his headphones on and writing in his journal. I mean, sure, Red sat next to him, but he's so quiet that Red never noticed him. One day during class, Red is having a conversation about a movie they saw recently. They were shitting on it. They didn't like the movie. Don't ask me what movie it is. I haven't thought of that yet because I don't know the time period. I know, okay. I do know around, it's going to be like the 2000s, obviously. But I don't know exactly what year, and I want to know a movie that is like going to fit. Okay, we're going to think about it. And if you have any movie suggestions that were made before, I want to say 2018, slide them my way. Thank you. Okay. Oliver taps on Red's desk with a pen, and Red turns around to see some ink smudged on Oliver's face. Before Oliver can even start the conversation, Red is cupping Oliver's face while wiping the ink off with their jacket. Red literally has no boundaries, by the way. They literally, if they see something on someone, they will wipe it off. They do not care what it is or who you are. They will literally go, I'm going to wipe this off your face and you're going to be still. So, just keep in mind, Red is very touchy. Not, impulsively, they are impulsively touchy, but, it's nothing usually bad behind the intention. It's just, sometimes they can't control the fact that they're touchy. They're like me, okay? We're still projecting a little bit, and that is okay. Project all you want onto your OCs. Yes, project onto your OCs, okay? What is art without imitating life? Quoted. Thank you. Trademark. It's not a trademark. Anyways, so, okay. Oliver asks why they didn't like the movie. Red says, I don't know, it just sucked. And then Oliver looks deadpan at Red and says, seriously? They have like a little spat and about how that wasn't / was a valid answer. They go back and forth, back and forth. The bell rings, signaling school's over, and they walk outside still arguing. Whoa, about a burp. 6 out of 10? Yeah, 6 out of 10. Okay. Red asks Oliver if he wants to hang out for a bit, and Oliver immediately blurts out, yes! So he's like very hyped. Like he's never talked to someone for that long about movies because everyone gets bored of it. Okay. Red takes Oliver to their favorite smoking spot and offers Oliver a blunt. Oliver declines. Red says, lame. They start smoking theirs and sit down. They start smoking theirs and they sit down. I don't know why I read it like that. Red asks Oliver what's with the bruises. Oliver looks at Red and they are looking at him with worry all over their face. He explains his situation at home. We'll get into that later. And Red, being the asshole they are, says, well, at least you have a mom. And then takes a drag out of their blunt and blows it out. And not blows it out, and they take a drag out of their blunt. I don't know why I said that. It's not in here. Oliver just stares at Red. They start provoking Oliver. Staring at me won't do anything. If you want something, say it. Oliver keeps staring. Red says, what are you doing, undressing me with your fucking staring? If you want to undress me, at least give me something first. Yeah, that's just the type of person Red is, by the way. They're so mean. But I love them. I love my baby. I love my Shayla. They get better, and then they get really, really bad. But it's okay. Art is not reality. It imitates reality. Anyways, Oliver starts explaining frantically that he isn't trying to undress them and that he was just in shock about the comment they made. Red stares at him, waiting for him to stop yapping. They get all up close in Oliver's face and just stare at him with a grin. He asks, what are you doing? Red says, debating if I like you or not. They stare at each other for a little bit longer. Red grabs Oliver's chin and asks him to open his mouth. They then blow smoke into his mouth. Oliver inhales it and blows it back at Red. Wow, you must have experience with blowing shit, Red says in a teasing manner. Oliver states, you act like film nerds aren't mostly always stoners. After that day, they became really close. Really close. Okay? You understand what I'm talking about? Okay. Not like intimately, like, boning, but like making out, like friends with benefits type situation, except for the benefits didn't really go past making out because that's what Oliver is kind of scared of that. Yeah. Not really, he gets past that fear really quick, but like he's waiting for it to be with someone he likes. He's not like Red, where Red does it with anyone, Okay. Okay. There's a party at the beginning of junior year where shit goes down. Oliver gets outed by his boyfriend. The boyfriend was his boyfriend due to a dare. And it was like a year-long dare, and it's like the saddest thing ever. I need to write more about that. In front of all the people at the party. This is like people from his school and whatnot. He runs to a room after drinking a shit ton. He ends up in a room where Red is making out with a chick. Hence why I made Red a slut, because he does not know. Red does not know who this chick is at all. Drunk too, but not as bad as Oliver. The girl leaves and Oliver grabs Red and they start making out. Let's go, fags. Let's go. Okay. Red stops him frantically saying, you have a boyfriend and you're really drunk. I don't think this is okay. He's like, they're like blabbering like, I don't want to do this if you're really drunk like that. You have a boyfriend. I don't want you to have a mistake tomorrow. Yada, yada, yada. Oliver breaks down saying he just got outed and he isn't loved anywhere he goes. He just starts like having a full-on panic attack / breakdown, and Red holds his face, tells him it's gonna be okay. Red calls their sister to give them a ride. Oliver spends that night with Red. He then soon moves in with the De La Rue family and starts to date Red at the end of junior year. Okay, that's all I really have past-wise. I still need to work on some more, but basically at the end of the story, I don't want to give it away, but let's just say they're not alive. Yay! When I write the rest of it, fix it and whatnot, then I'll probably update a part about this, updated OC lore in like a couple months, or like after school starts. I think I'm gonna do that. Yeah. Yay! Okay, so then there's like headcanons I have, but we're gonna get into that later. Alright, let me get to the other site I have. Oh, that is my BL tab. And that is something else I don't need to be playing out loud. Oops. Oliver Smith is the boyfriend of Red. It'll freaking hang on. Okay. TW for abuse. Oliver grew up in an abusive household. You know, stereotypical druggy mom, alcoholic dad. His dad's alcohol addiction got really bad after Oliver turned 3. His dad hasn't changed ever. He'd drink, come home, make a scene, hit his wife, assault Oliver, hit a wall or a piece of furniture, then fall asleep, disappear for weeks on end, and disappear for weeks on end. He was barely around, but when he was, Oliver would have more injuries than the last time. The assault lessened after his sister passed, but it didn't cease until Oliver moved out. His mom started doing drugs didn't start doing drugs until after her daughter died. Oliver's sister was killed in a freak car accident. She was driving and then got crushed between 2 cars on her way back from prom. Since his sister was the firstborn, it took a huge toll on his mom. At the time, Oliver was just about to be a freshman in high school, so he had to mature quickly. He got a part-time job at a gas station and started saving money so he could move out as soon as possible. When he was 18, he moved in with his close friend Red. I'm gonna change the ages and whatnot because this is like older than the stuff I rewrote. Fair warning. They met his sophomore year and he was still kind of new. Red was semi-popular. Okay, we're not reading this, but same thing that happened. Okay, so that's Oliver. Oliver isn't really that much expanded, but let's just say he is. I don't know what he's like typical emo boy. If that makes sense, okay? Let's explore Mike Wilson. So I haven't talked about him. Actually, no, we'll save that for another time because we'll talk about side characters like Arnold, who is Red's stepbrother, Mary's son. But let's talk about Ronnie. Trigger warning for addiction and suicide. Hers is really short. I need to expand on her more since she's like a big part of this story, even though she's not there for long. So Ronnie, a locally famous singer, struggled with slight alcoholism and a serious heroin addiction. The stress and constant fear of being watched caused her to seek unprofessional help. Heroin. She would shoot it into her body so often that she had bruises and scars from the needles. It didn't stop her from being a good mom, though. The addiction didn't start until after Celeste was born. Sure, most of the stress was from fame, but a bit of it was raising 3 kids in a 2-bedroom house. She wouldn't want you to think she committed because of her family or her kids. She doesn't even know why she did it. She just did it. She felt like it was the only way to escape without becoming more miserable and rubbing it off on her kids. But what's the point of her escape if it ended up making her Red Rudy so much worse than she was? That's all you're gonna get. Sorry, guys. And then Orion. Okay. His is short and sweet, but it's kind of sad still. Okay. Okay, so Maria's stuff has changed too. Okay, so trigger warning for bullying and body shaming and slight eating disorder mention. Slight eating disorder mention, sorry. I don't know why I said it like really quiet. So when Orion was in middle school, he got bullied for being bigger. So he would try to lose weight by not eating his lunch during school hours. He never fully developed an issue with food, but it made him have the mindset that his sides made him unlikable. When Oliver met Ronnie, he fell in love. College sweethearts. She was a choir major and he was a coding major. He learned how to love his body with her help. She loved Orion from the moment she saw his smile, his stupid little goofy gap-toothed smile. Although they would argue a bit over the Star Wars franchise, they were the sweetest couple. Orion started wearing baggier and comfier clothes. And yeah, she made him come out of his shell and start accepting the fact that he started accepting his body and like being the fact that he is bigger, because Orion is like teddy bear. He is like best hug giver ever. Okay, even though he doesn't give them often, but when you get them, you know it's gonna be an amazing hug. Orion is on the autism spectrum. He also has an anxiety disorder. And for their 1-year anniversary, Ronnie got him an emotional support goose named Guppy. Sadly, that didn't last due to Guppy contracting a disease from where he was adopted from. They had Guppy for nearly a year. Ronnie ends up pregnant, so they get married. When Francine is born, she then becomes Orion's number one priority. She is 100% a daddy's girl. When When Ronnie died, Orion couldn't function. He went cold turkey on his meds for his anxiety. He was a mess. It took weeks for him to come out of that room. He was able to get better after starting his meds again. Then he met Mary. Mary and Orion clicked instantly. She was a middle school teacher. She taught French. He was a video game developer. She was immediately welcomed into the family until the things that she did to Red came out. Okay, so to further explain like their family dynamic, okay, so Ronnie and Orion are the dad and mom. Ronnie dies when Red's 10, and Francine's 14, and Celeste is 6. So the siblings are each about 4 years apart, which is not intentional, but it is what it is. And then 3 years later, Orion meets Mary. Mary has a son from her past marriage. His name is Arnold. He is younger. I'm pretty sure I made him 20 or 21. So he's like a year or two younger than Celeste. But he gets welcomed into the family. He isn't really a family person. He's not really a person, actually. But he's like a webtoon creator. He makes webtoons. He makes comics and stuff. Like web comics. But he's like not really in the picture that much because he's always normally busy meeting deadlines and stuff, and he's not really an outside person. I need to work on him more though, but he's not really mentioned in my story like ever, and it's the saddest thing ever. I'm sorry. I love Arnold so much. And then Francine, the older sister, ends up having twins, and then she gets postpartum. But the twins love Red. They love their Uncle Red. They love them so much. But Red does not like kids. But like they feel like a fatherly, maternal instinct around those kids, so they treat them with like love and support. And then those kids went, "I want to be like you when I grow up." And Red looks them deadpan in the face and says, "If you do, I will not love you." Like he doesn't say, they don't say that, but like if you end up like me, tell your mother, okay? Don't end up like me. Like don't do it. Because Red does not want their like nieces or their nieces and nephew. I don't know what gender they're gonna be, okay? But they don't want them to end up like Red because Red was not doing well at the time. They were like in severe, like their early 20s are like a blur to them. They don't remember most of the months during their early 20s. Like after they turned 21, like 19 to 21, 20, maybe like middle of their 21st year, like their year 24, 21. It was really bad. Like just like their mom, they have an addiction. But it's not just one thing. Like mostly it's like literally anything they get their hands on, except for the one their mom took. Like they can't deal with that. That one, like they could not do. But I don't really have anything else to say. But if you like their story, please feel free to check out their toy house. I am currently updating it, so give me a little while because it's kind of weird on some other people's side. I don't know. Yeah, this video kind of got long, but yeah, I hope you enjoyed me yapping about my OCs. Yeah. So if you want to make fan art of them, I'd really appreciate that. Send it to me on Instagram. If you want to draw your OC with my OC, please do. Anything involving my OC with anyone's OC or like any character, even a doodle, I would literally kiss you right now. I would make out with you. Like genuinely, we're getting married right now. But yeah. And I know art fight's coming to a close, and I haven't done a lot of art fight this year, and I'm really sad about it. But the motivation's just not there. I don't know. But yeah. I'll have my Instagram somewhere on here. And I guess my Twitter. I don't really use my Twitter, but I'll have it on here too, I guess. So yeah. until next time, bye.